how we could leap forward to achieve the 2030 Agenda, SDG, and what will be the role of the youth. And now we have invited very vocal and very active Japanese youth who are making a lot of efforts and actions on the ground in different fields of Japan. And we invited Ms. Jaya Toma, Ms. Wickrama Naike, UN Secretary General's envoy on youth. And she has been extremely inspiring to advocate the role of youth for the society we are no one is left behind. So 2030 Agenda, that's something we are really trying to achieve, trying to address. And unfortunately, in the reality of the youth, reality of the earth is not at all opportunistic. It's very difficult situation. Environment is degrading. Poverty is becoming more serious. Abnormal weather conditions and natural disasters, and how we can achieve inclusive society. We are facing with many difficult issues. So in order to face with these difficulties, I think we need a very innovative and new ideas and dynamic kind of innovation. And I think it's really, we would like to get the inspirational ideas and support and from youth on how we can create a transformative change of the society. I think a creative and innovative idea from youth is something we really would like to count on. So with that words, I would like to welcome Ms. Jaya Toma, UN Secretary General's envoy in youth, to the stage and have a keynote speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and as I said, thank you very much for coming to this meeting to have a dialogue and conversation, regardless of the very difficult situation that all of us, I would say, are in. So I really appreciate you coming out and joining, and it really shows your enthusiasm and interest in, as Japanese youth, in engaging in global dialogue and global conversation. So first let me thank also, in addition to the participants here, our hosts, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Japan Committee for UNICEF, the Japan Next Generation Platform for promoting SDGs, and also the support that we received from the UN Information Center, UNIC Tokyo, for organizing this event and for providing this platform for our conversation today. Secondly, allow me to thank all of you again for coming, and this is, as was said, was my first visit to Japan since my appointment. There were many invitations, but unfortunately I couldn't make it to Japan before, but finally I am here, and I am delighted and impressed, and also I'm moved by some of the stories that I've heard from many youth leaders that I've met so far here. From the very powerful and impactful meeting that I had with Hibakusha, Miss Emiko Okada at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park on Tuesday, to hearing about the efforts of the remarkable young women of the youth club in the Sanyo Joshi High School in Okayama, and their efforts to clean up their ocean, to my first tea ceremony yesterday in Kyoto. I'm grateful for the long-lasting memories that you have helped create for me to take back with me home. 2020 will be a memorable year for the world and for Japan in particular. We all look forward to the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games, during which young athletes from all over the world will come together to compete, but also send the message of global unity, and to show their remarkable talents and make lasting friendships between individuals, but also between the countries who will be present in this very town. 2020 is also the year in which the United Nations will turn 75 years old, and we will celebrate the United Nations 75th birthday, but we will also remember the 75th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the end of the Second World War. And this is not a coincidence, because United Nations as an organization was born 75 years ago to prevent such terrible atrocities, world war, and to maintain international peace and security. But in the last 75 years, as we all know, the United Nations has been called upon to find solutions and respond to many other global challenges beyond its founding purpose. Fighting climate change and inequality, addressing lack of access to healthcare, addressing lack of access to education, employment, gender equality, making our oceans and environment healthier, and many other important issues as mass migration, refugee crises, democracy, good governance, and the list goes on. Looking at the current trends, we know that the next couple of decades, the complex multidimensional global issues that we are facing today are going to unfortunately continue or may even escalate. On top of that, frontier issues caused by the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, future of work, cybercrimes, religious fundamentalism will continue to pose challenges to humanity and for us as a generation of young people who will inherit this planet. We cannot resolve these issues without the participation of everyone, especially of young people, who more than everyone understands these realities and are able to bring innovative new solutions to old problems. At the same time, around the world, more and more populist governments are coming into power, and the rhetoric against multilateralism and international cooperation is getting stronger. Hate speech, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, nationalism are becoming, unfortunately, the new norm. Even though there are all these challenges and it feels quite gloomy and quite dark, I find my hope in two things. First, I find my hope in young people such as yourselves. I'm privileged in my job to travel to different places in the world, from the most developed to the least developed countries, from the most equal societies to the most unequal societies, from war-torn regions to islands sinking because of climate change and sea level rise. And everywhere I go, I find one constant, that is resilient, hopeful, creative, and innovative young people. From the school children in Europe who are striking school on Fridays demanding climate justice, to the young women who led the democratic revolution in Sudan, from the scouts who are welcoming and integrating thousands of refugees in this island of Greece, to the young people who set up a coding camp in Gaza in the middle of a war zone. Young people are leading change in the most hardship opportunities, and they're taking the charge and making their communities a better place. So, as the United Nations prepares to celebrate its 75th birthday next year, I count on the world's young people, and I count on your support to make the United Nations young again. As young people, I believe that we have a collective responsibility to drive humanity towards progress. And to get there collectively, we need a roadmap. And this roadmap is my second hope. This roadmap is our roadmap to a sustainable future. That is the SDGs, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In 2015, all member states of the United Nations came together and agreed on these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They agreed that this will be the common path that humanity will take in our cause to bring peace, prosperity, and development to everyone, everywhere, leaving no one behind. 5 years down the line, we are at a critical juncture. With only 10 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we, the young people today, as the largest generation ever, has the power to decide if the next decade is going to be a decade of action or a decade of inaction. It is a critical time for humanity, and young people are particularly affected as they face various challenges. More than 59 million young people today around the world are unemployed, and 136 million young workers are employed but still live in poverty. Over 408 million young people live in areas affected by conflict. 262 million children and young people are out of school. Even though half of the world's population is under the age of 30, only 2% of the world's parliamentarians are under the age of 30. There are more than 500 million adolescent girls who currently live in developing countries, and 1 in 3 of them are married before the age of 18. 15% of the world's largest population, many of whom are young people, are persons with disabilities, out of which 90% lives in developing countries without equal access to education, health, or opportunities. Amidst these challenges, so many young people around the world are not waiting for others to deliver on the SDGs. These inspiring young leaders who are joining us here today, and many others around the world, are a testament to that statement. Regardless of the lack of opportunities, lack of resources, and sometimes even discrimination due to their age or other factors, young people around the world are developing solutions. They are running advocacy campaigns. They are starting sustainable businesses. They are changing their lifestyles. They are recycling, they are protesting, they are marching, and they are even organizing political parties and running for political office. What we need to do is to create equal opportunities and safe spaces so these young leaders everywhere can contribute to the achievement of these goals in their communities, in their countries, and in our world as a whole. Equal opportunities to have an education, equal opportunities to access decent work, equal opportunities to test their innovative, creative ideas by starting their own initiatives, starting their own businesses, and to be trusted and to be empowered. In my short time in Japan, I have learned an important lesson, a lesson of resilience. In Hiroshima, I saw a city that became a symbol of destruction and devastation, of war, become a city of peace. The Hibakusha have become leaders of peace and disarmament, not only here in Japan, but also around the world. They are defined not by the cities that were destroyed, but by the peace that brought them together, and by the peace that our world today so desperately needs. So, if we are to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in this decade of action of 10 years, and if we are to strengthen the United Nations and multilateral system, this is the kind of resilience we need. The resilience to make the right investments in education, in health, and in the empowerment of women and girls and other minorities. The resilience to compromise on the greed for material wealth, and the resilience to stop overconsumption and overproduction so we can have a livable planet. The resilience to choose peace over violence. The resilience to help those in need even when you yourself have unmet needs. And the resilience to commit to multilateralism and collective action even when it does not look like the most convenient option. That will be our only path towards a just, fair, peaceful, and sustainable world. And I look forward to Japan's leadership, most of all, the leadership of the Japanese youth, for us to charter on that path. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wickramaner. So next, I would like to introduce Mr. Katsuhito Okubo. He is an impressive young man leading the work of Japan's next generation platform for promoting SDGs. So in Japan, we are promoting Japan model of SDGs, and this next generation, empowering the next generation women are one of the three pillars of Japanese policy. So Mr. Okubo, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this great opportunity to speaking. And I'm gonna introduce our brand new platform, and it's actually like 2 years old, so it's not brand new, by the way. I'm Katsuhito Okubo, the senior advisor of Japanese Platform for Sustainability, and which is part of the steering committee of Japan Next Generation Platform for Promoting SDGs. So I'm super nervous, so I might be skipping this, right? The platform was originally declared its creation in 2019 by Japanese government as a part of 3 pillars of Japan SDGs action plan, which was adopted by Japanese government also. As I said, we have a steering committee, which consists of 7 youth organizations: ISEC, ETIC, Y720, Japan Junior Chamber of Commerce, and Japan Model UN, Japan Disability Forum, and JIPS, Japanese Platform for Sustainability. I'm not going to explain all of it because it takes time. And if you want to know more, please Google it. So far, we have attended WOW and met Ms. Malada, and had a side event on youth participation in ECOSOC Youth Forum with the Japanese government. Thank you so much. And we went to HLPF, which is like Center for Living SDGs Progress, High Level Political Forum. And we attended several events, such as SDGs Global Festival of Action by UNDP and Summer Conference 2019. And I'm going to be talking about a core concept of the Japan Next Generation Platform. So the world youth has been in trend, like world trend, and it's becoming like big world, like youth. And we even have a UN strategy on youth now, and which is good and not good enough. It's good enough, but not there. You know what I mean? And it says young people want to and already contribute to the resilience of their communities, proposing innovative solutions, driving social progress, and inspiring political change. Young people constitute a tremendous and essential asset worth investing in, opening the door to an unparalleled multiplier effect. Honestly and personally, we are not here to be worthy, are we? And sorry, it's like personal opinion. It's not, no offense. We don't have this platform for giving the opportunity to be included, decided about how worthy they are. Not only youth, but also any other stakeholders, like persons with disabilities, women, and indigenous people like we have in Okinawa and Hokkaido, must be included in any decision-making places at any scale. And as a part of stakeholder inclusion led by stakeholders, we do have this platform to give a space for any youth. We must be heard because we exist. And as a conclusion, I have a message for youth as a youth myself. I'm 26 years old. I look young. No, old, sorry. Taking actions are important as speaking up and saying whatever we want for sustainable future. We have this platform for creating self-organized space and self-led change to achieve the future we want. Speak up and take action. The seat remains vacant, but the place is set. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okubo, for a very passionate speech. And so now we would like to move on to the panel discussion, inviting the 4 very active youth leaders to the floor. And I would really, really appreciate if the panelists joining the panel discussion come up to the stage and to take a seat. to cover 4 areas which we thought it might be interesting. Many of those 4 young leaders here, together with Special Envoy, are very active in the different fields. So today we decided to pick up 4 areas of issues. One is business and innovation, and the second one is the gender. The third one is the education, and the last one is persons with disability, inclusive society. So from now on, what we would like to do is to ask first to kick off the discussion on business and innovation, and I would like to introduce Takeaki Kamada from the Junior Chamber of the International Japan.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. So, first of all, I introduce about our organization, Junior Chamber International Japan. We are one of the most powerful young organizations in Japan. We have nearly 700 local organizations all over Japan, and we have 34,000 members from 20 to 40. And about 90% of members are officers of the small and medium enterprises. And our OBs and OGs are very active. For example, half of ministers of the Japanese government were our members. And we, in very long time, how we committed to MDGs and SDGs. Since 2004, we used over $1 million to improve, to achieve MDGs and SDGs, especially in the international contribution. And these days, we focus to promote to SMEs and young people. For example, last year we tied up with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan, and last year over 3,000 SMEs newly declared to commit to SDGs via promotion. And we also produced 50 SDGs ambassadors with the support of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they help SDG implementation in SMEs in all regions of Japan. And also we promote to youth, especially in the conference. We held 2 big conferences last year, and over 25,000 participants presented, and Okubo also attended the conference. And we also doing projects for SDGs. We executed about 2,100 projects in all over Japan last year. We invested over $30 million, and we mobilized 2 million people estimated. And we mainly for SDGs number 4, number 8, and number 11. And this is a case study in the small and medium enterprises. It's Oka Printing Corp. It have 41 employees, and they implement SDGs in their management plan. They try to use renewable energy and support for persons with disabilities, and they try to waste zero until 2020. And they won Japan SDGs Awards. And this is another case study. Sansho Group, they established SDGs promotion base in local area of Japan, and they support the diversity of nationality and gender. And they also provide low-cost houses for poor families. And they also won Japan SDGs Awards. And this is our future action. One is make a financial support framework for SDGs implementing SMEs. We will develop a SDGs evaluation system, and we will make an open platform SDGs to share our ideas about to achieve SDGs. And in conclusion, we believe that young people should be the leading role to achieve SDGs. So in the future, we strongly take action for SDGs, and then we will make many projects, and we motivate many young people. We invest to the platform of knowledge of SDGs, and we collaborate, especially in finance and the IT areas, and we connect the public sectors and private sectors to achieve SDGs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamada, for introducing a very powerful and very innovative idea and activities happening in JC. So let's move on to the next speaker, Ms. Haruna Kuraishi. She's from Japan United Nations, and to focus on what would be the youth's role in terms of how to make changes in the generation. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. My name is Haruna Kuraishi from Japan United Nations. I'm here today to present an obstacle of gender-related issues in Japan. To start off, I would like to introduce the progress on the achievement of gender equality in Japan, and then discuss some problems that are barriers to achieving gender equality in Japan. And finally, I would like to suggest my opinion to resolve them. According to Sustainable Development Report 2090, Japan has made some progress toward achieving some SDGs in the fields of education and economy, Goal 4 and Goal 9. On the other hand, gender equality has not been achieved at all in reality. Precisely, we can see that the indicators, especially the one at the top, demand for family planning satisfied by modern method, has been declining in number. Next, I'm happy to share two current movements for achieving gender equality in Japan with you. One was carried out by Ms. Ito, and another one was by Ms. Ishikawa. As for the first case on the left image, the Japan Civic Court awarded about $3 million in damage to a journalist who is alleged to have led by a powerful television bureau chief. This event highlighted Japan's outdated labor laws and the obstacles that women face in alleged sexual misconduct in nations run by conservative male-dominated establishment. About the movement called Japan Kutsu, on the right image, around 1,009,000 people have signed a petition calling for Japan to endorse codes that require women to wear high heels in working places or during job hunting. These cases imply that both movements were caused by prejudice and biases toward women and the lack of protection for women. Then, what are obstacles which prevent Japanese society from solving these problems? I believe structural elements are leading hardness of life for Japanese women. I suggest that gender-related discrimination can be caused by two hardnesses in multiple societies, I think. Firstly, each component of society, individuals, family, and company or school in Japan is not interested in understanding different backgrounds or situations. For example, in Japanese companies, although menstrual leave is legal according to the labor standards law, employers problematize women who try to take a leave while on period. Male bureau often misunderstands that women who take leaves neglect their job. As a result, female workers who are afraid of this misunderstanding that male bureau hesitate to request menstrual leave and eventually gives it up. Finally, I would like to suggest that one of the solutions to tackle with this problem, I would like to stress that it is important to live people from different culture, different backgrounds. In detail, this needs four steps, like treat people with a prejudice, listen to others' voices, and discuss and respect each other, and then cultivate tolerance to others. Okay. Finally, in her speech about gender equality and feminism, Ms. Emma Watson delivered our speech about the idea, which is similar to my idea. And the mission behind the term of feminism. Through the process for living different values, I strongly believe that it is an essential key to listen to stories of other people whom you want to understand without any prejudice and discrimination. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saraishi-san. Right. So it's now the next issue we would like to move on to is the education. So let me introduce Mr. Satoshi Iyama. He is a co-founder of Empower Project. He is really strongly advocating the voice of youth in education. So, Mr. Iyama, please.
Thank you for your kind introduction. ただいまご紹介いただきました東京大学の飯山と申します。日本語で失礼いたします。私は今教育というところを持たされているんですけれども、その若者の SDGs への参画のしやすさなどの文脈で今回お話をさせていただきたいと思っております。その若者の SDGs への参画のしやすさというものをですね、進めていく上で、やはりそのエントリーポイントの参加のしやすさというのがとても大事だというふうに思っております。やはり若者だけでなく人間は誰でも社会に貢献したいとか誰かの役に立ちたいということは思っていると思うんですけれども、具体的なこのビジョンであるとか目標というものを持つこの会社などの所属する組織に、所属していない若者にとってなかなかそれを自分の貢献感というのを得ながら活動するっていうのはすごい難しいことだと思うんですよね。なのであまりにも規模の大きいことであったりとか自分とかけ離れていることを言われてしまうと萎縮してしまったり、なかなか自分とは関係ないことだというふうに思いがちなところがあるので、できるだけそのエントリーポイントを参加しやすいものにして活動を広めていくかということをすごい大事にしています。そういう文脈で私の活動を紹介させていただきたいというふうに思ってるんですけども、私はこのエンパワープロジェクトというプロジェクトの今共同代表をしております。具体的にはこの SDGs のリビングノアビハインド誰一人取り残さない世界っていうもの、つまりそれ全体なんですけども、特に目標10番の人や国の不平等をなくすというところにフォーカスを当てて活動しております。具体的には協力者カミングアウトというものを広める活動をしておりまして、このピンクのマゼンタスターのマークをですね、何か困ったことがあったら気軽に声をかけてねという優しさのマークとして定義づけてですね、これによって全ての人が生きやすい社会を作るべく活動をしています。今まで日本はマタニティマークだったりヘルプマークだったりというその当事者からのカミングアウトで社会の協力の試合を促進するという活動があったと思うんですけども、その逆転の発想として協力者がカミングアウトすればよりそういった協力し合いが促進するのではないかなというふうに思って、大体2年ぐらい前からこの活動をしております。まさにこれはその参加のしやすさ、第一歩の踏み出しやすさっていうのをすごい意識していまして、いわゆる僕が今使っているピンバッジであるとかステッカーとかキーホルダーとかいろんなグッズを作ってですね、誰もが自分の好きな形で自分のファッションなどに取り入れて、意思表示できるようにというふうにしております。ここにももう一つなんていうんですか、問題というかポイントが隠れておりまして、やはり日本ではまだまだですね、その SDGs とか社会貢献っていうのはイコール我慢である、ネガティブである、ネガティブではないにしても我慢であるっていうやっぱりそういったなんていうんですかね、イメージが残っている部分はあると思うんですよね。なんですけども、これからどんどん特にそういったことに関心のない若者であるとか人々を巻き込んでいく上では、やはりそのポジティブアプローチであるとか自分のやりたいことをやった結果何か社会にいいことになっているっていうそのつながりっていうのはすごい必要だと思うんですね。なので、僕たちも普段そういうふうなところに重きを置いてやっています。これをどんどん国際的に発信していこうという思いがあるので、実際に国連の障害者の日のパネルディスカッションに呼んでいただいたりとか、ユニセフの皆さんをはじめですね、いろんな国連機関の方々と一緒にイベントをやったりしています。同時にですね、そのさっきの若者のその参画のしやすさ、自分のやりたいことをやることが世界の良さにつながるっていうところで言いますと、それは教育の面とすごい関わってくるんですけれども、とにかくその文化であるとか芸術であるとか、あとは教育であるとか、 そういったなんか美しいものであったりおしゃれなものであったりやってみたいと思うものとコラボレーションをしながらやるということをすごい意識しています。そしてその若者の弱さというか足りないものとしてやはりその人脈のなさとかお金のなさとか、そういったことが挙げられるかと思うんですけれども、それはやはりそのパートナーシップでどんどんこう改善できるというふうに思っておりまして、なので何か活動する時もいろんな企業の方とご一緒させていただいて子ども向けのワークショップをやったりとか、あとはその社会的なシステムとして残していくっていう意味ではやはりこう行政の方々と一緒にやっていくことによってただの一時のムーブメントではなくてしっかりシステムとして残していけるようにということを意識しています。そして今つながりパートナーシップっていうお話をしたんですけれども、そのパートナーシップただ縦のつながりというか上とのつながりだけではなくて横のつながりユース同士のつながりもとても重要であるなというふうに思っています。そこでもう一つの活動のご紹介をさせていただきたいんですけれども、これはユニセフの東京事務所さんとユニセフ協会の人とご一緒させて立ち上げたウェブプラットフォームでして、ボイスオブユースジャパンというウェブプラットフォームです。これはですね目的としては全てのユースが自分の思いを発信できて誰かの思いを受け取れて、そして誰かとつながれる場所というものを用意するということを目標としています。SNS と同じじゃないかという声もあるかもしれないんですけれども、やはり SNS は今もうすっかり社会になっているので自分の言いたいことが言えなかったりとか言っても流れてしまったりとか埋もれてしまったりっていうことがたくさんあると思うんですね。つまりそういういわゆる意識が高いと言われるような文脈にとってはそう言って言われることが多いと思うので、そういった若者たちが自分の思いを発信できたり受け取れる場所を作りたいというふうに思っております。いろんなインタビューの記事なども載っているんですけども、同時に自分の思いを発信できる記事であるとか、あとは同時にオンラインの強さを生かしてさまざまな全国のいろんな47都道府県さまざまな学生が自分の思いを発信できるような企画を作ったり、オフラインでも集ってさらにそのユースのつながりっていうのをインパクトを残せる形で企画していくことを目指しております。はい、以上です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Miyama-san, and the love you got you're wearing in Japan. That's great. So last issue we would like to touch upon is the inclusive society. So let me introduce Ms. Natsuki Soda. She is from the Japan National Assembly of Disabled Peoples International, and she can share her view on this inclusive society and people with disability.
Hello everyone, I'm Natsuki, and I'd like to talk first about myself. So I got disabled at the age of 20, and then I worked for JICA for 9 years after I graduated from university. But in my 20s, I experienced countless discrimination and exclusion based on my disability. So I decided to join disability rights movement to become a disability rights advocate because I don't want younger generation with disabilities to experience the same thing. And to answer, actually I was given a question before, and the question was what would be the role of youth to make an inclusive society which includes people with disabilities. And my answer is very simple. Empower youth with disabilities. I think youth with disabilities should be the one to take initiatives simply because we are the one who experience unjust treatment every single day. And I think youth with disabilities can be a very powerful forces to change the society, but we cannot do that without reasonable accommodation or social adjustment. And I think in the context of SDGs, we are often called vulnerable people, but my question has been who or what make us vulnerable? And I would like to help people understand that the youth with disabilities can be very powerful if there are good support. So to demonstrate that, I would like to tell a story of Miki. So Miki was 21 when I met her, and I was 25. And her wish was, she was studying English at university, and her wish was to go abroad for the first time during the summer vacation, just like her classmate without disabilities. But what she told me was very shocking because she said, Natsuki-san, I can never go abroad because my body is like this. And actually Miki has a significant disability, so Miki needs a 24-hour personal assistant to travel. So that means she actually has to find her personal assistant, and also she has to pay for 2 airplane tickets and 2 hotel accommodation, because she also has to pay for her personal assistant as well. And obviously it is too much for a university student. So I helped her fundraise the expenses for her personal assistant, and she was able to go to the Philippines. And then for the first 3 or 4 days, she was very nervous and she cried and cried. But on the last day, I asked her to be on a local radio program, and then her final comment was like, when I go back home, I'd like to help younger students with disabilities, like high school students with disabilities, to go abroad, and then tell them that you can also fly. And that was very happy moment for me, and also it's very special and emotional moment for me, which I would never forget. So today I didn't really talk much about how young people can help people with disabilities, and rather I talked about Miki's story, because I think people with disabilities are too often considered as the protection, the object of protection or the object of support. So we also have to help people understand that we can also become an agent of change if there is a support necessary, like a ramp or a sign interpretation or personal assistant like Miki needed. And I think it's very important that without that we can't be strong forces to change the society, and then we can't even line up on a starting line, and then we will be left behind even after 2030, I think. And then finally I would like to introduce a very famous slogan of International Disability Rights Movement, because I believe that it's not only for persons with disabilities, but also for youth or women, or maybe even hibakusha, like other minority groups. And then it's nothing about us without us. In Japanese we have a translation, 私たちのことを抜きに私たちのことを決めないで. So I think keeping this principle in mind, I think we can change the society together. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miki-san, for very moving speech and sharing your story of Miki-san. It's really amazing. So thank you very much. And so we had very impressive stories from both speakers, and we just would like to turn to you, Ms. Wickramanayake. And you've been doing a lot of work overseas, all over the world, many parts of the world, covering not only Asia but also Africa, Middle East, and other parts of the world, looking at the youth in different parts of the world, and hearing from 4 different speakers speaking about different sectors of the work that works. How do you see, is there any interesting findings of the Japanese youth from your perspective? Are there any differences, or do you see any impressive points you found from the presentations?
Thank you very much, and thank you also for sharing your experience and also expertise. I think it's very important that we not only sort of talk about the issues but also talk about the solutions, and I think the 4 of you have been really sort of very impressive in framing the issues and the solutions that way, so congratulations and thank you for sharing. To answer your question, it's not very easy because it's yes and no. Yes, in the sense that when I meet young people from, say, developed countries, developing countries, in Europe, Africa, Asia, there are some common threads that kind of every young person can relate to. One of it is having always have to fight for our space and having always have to ask for a seat at the table. And I think this is very common across the world, regardless of which background you are from. As young people, I think first of all we have a right to participate in making decisions that affect our lives today, but also our lives in the future. Because whatever the policies and programs that are made today are we will live with those repercussions. Children and young people of today will live with those decisions that are being made today. So I believe that we have a right, therefore, to participate and make those decisions ourselves. But that space, unfortunately, is not readily available. And that's why you see young people in the streets protesting or running campaigns or asking on social media for that space to be created. So the need to be heard, the need to not just to be heard, but then also to be able to have that power to make decisions about our own lives and about our own futures is a common thread that unites all of us. Second common issue I would say is many young people around the world feel very excluded and distant from formal institutions. They often feel like they don't have, they are not included in the formal decision-making processes in their own countries, in their own communities, but also the trust towards political institutions is declining. When you don't have a voice and a power in a formal space, it is easy for you to feel excluded. So this is a common concern that I hear from young people around the world, and particularly when we talk to young people who live in conflict-affected and humanitarian settings, but also for young people who were recruited or attracted by negative groups such as extremist groups or terrorist groups. This comes as one of the key reasons why they were attracted to such groups. It is because they do not trust their political institutions, because unfortunately in many parts of the world SDG 16 is not implemented, and when you have corrupt institutions, when you have non-transparent institutions, when you have institutions and systems that do not respond to the needs and aspirations and hopes and dreams of today's generations and the generations of the future, then young people do not trust those institutions. So I would say that feeling of exclusion, lack of trust, and not having that space to make decisions about our lives and our futures are common threads that are unique to young people or that young people relate to. But then of course issues-based, if you take thematic issues, unemployment, as I mentioned in my speech, remains a huge issue still in many parts of the world. We have millions of young people unemployed. School to work transition is very difficult for many young people around the world. Still in developing countries, majority of youth, even they enter the labor market, they often enter into the informal labor market. So they don't have social protection and ways to sort of take risks and start a family and be empowered as sometimes our previous generations used to. Education, access to education is a big issue, and as mentioned, young women and girls face extra barriers in many parts of the world. Still harmful traditional practices like child marriage, female genital mutilation, teenage pregnancies, lack of access to sexual and reproductive health, education, health, youth-friendly health services is still lacking, and I can list a whole range of issues, but I would say these are the key issues that usually young people speak with me when I travel to different parts of the world.
Great. Yeah, so thank you very much. It's really, I think your answer really tells us how the world is diverse, and at the same time, some of the issues are very much common. There's, praying for space, fight for the space, issue of exclusion and lack of trust is something that's very much the things which might be some common to in the Japanese society as well. Right? And I think probably it might be interesting to go into some of the specific issues you talked a little bit about. And I think that when I think some of the issues you talked about, for example, the issue of gender, some of the issues about the inclusive society or disabilities, and I think that probably change how we could be the young generation can be a catalyst or agent for the change of the society as a whole. It's a big task actually. It's not only not only the youth generation, but also the whole entire generation has to be the agent of the change at the same time. All the generation can become obstacle for change to some extent. So probably. So if you may, I could ask I think Haruna-san and then probably Natsuki-san about what will be your suggestion to bring change in terms of your issue of gender and probably your issue of people with disability.
Thank you for your questions. I think as I mentioned in my presentation, I think it's vital that all people engaging in the international issues. I think people including youth and including those who have disabilities and have backgrounds of discriminations should engage in international programs or solution to tackle with such kind of issues. I think.
Thank you for the question. And then I have two suggestions. So one is that maybe to be an agent of change, I think the key is, for me, it's anger, actually. Because when you talked about the extreme group, sometimes I feel like I understand their feelings, but my senior advisor told me that anger is good. You can use that in a good way. So it's okay to be angry and then to use that to change the society. And the second suggestion is that you talked about the extra barrier, and then I think it's important to think about who has more extra barriers when you live in the society. So now I'm here talking and then representing disabled people's community, but I know more people who need more support to be here or to have voices. For example, I used to be working in Africa, like Burkina Faso, so people with disabilities in that area are experiencing more difficult situation. So when we really say that we should include everyone or all people, we really have to think about who are left behind in a real sense.
I know the importance of the collective population around the world, but we should not forget that each person has different backgrounds or different values. I think so. In cooperating with others, I think it's also very important that we can understand different backgrounds and different values, considering the structural issues like international issues. I think.
Maybe just to add, I think I completely agree with both of you, and one of the things that I want to also stress is when I usually talk about young people's empowerment, young people's space, their rights to decision making, people tell me, oh, you're against old people. And I just want us to understand that it's not about this group or that group. It is about all of us doing it together. And I think that is why it's important. Oops. I think that is why it's important to have intergenerational solidarity as well, because obviously all the generations have lived different experiences, they have different expertise, and they can share what worked, what didn't work, and then young people come with their own lived realities, and they bring innovative, creative solutions to fix some of the long-lasting issues. So I think the key there is, even if you are older generation, younger generation, majority group, minority group, marginalized group, vulnerable group, it's about treating everyone with respect and respecting that it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter what your background is, that you are an expert of your own life and your experience, and therefore everyone has the right to be involved in making those decisions about the facts that are going to affect our lives and our future. So I think it's important to have that solidarity across different sectors that we work in, across different generations, but also across different groups.
Okay. So thank you very much. It's really the nice bridge. That's really, this intergenerational solidarity. That's how we can to overcome these challenges and difficulties together, regardless of generation differences. That's really good message. So I just want to pose another question. This time I would like to pose a question to Takeaki and Satoshi, because both of you really emphasize a lot about the issue of partnership. You talked about empowerment. You talked about how to collaborate with others to make a difference in societies. And I would like to ask you, what in creating the necessary partnership to change the society, what would be the unique characteristics, what the unique power of the youth to make a necessary change happen? Why youth is powerful than the elderly men and women?
I think who get the most benefit if world will be changed and SDGs will be achieved is young people. So young people who need to act to achieve SDGs. It's it's not only the elder people, but also young people is key to transform the world. So, but in Japan now, young population is declining every year. Our power will smaller and smaller. So we need to unite not only young people but also all sectors of society. I think so. Collaboration is key to success, and young people can go every sector of society because young people have their parents, and so I think every young people can have a connection to all sectors of society if we want. So we need to act objectively, connect to all sectors of society. I think that's a very important thing.
ありがとうございます。そのパートナーシップっていうことなんですけども、 すごいこう重要になってくるのが若者のその大人の世代もそうなんですけども、自分たちが持っているものを持ち寄ってパートナーシップを結んでいくっていうことがすごい大事だなというふうに思っています。僕も今活動する中でですね、いろんな組織の方に声をかけさせていただくことが多いんですけども、やはり社会ってとても複雑なので、それこそお金であったりとか、それ以外にいろんな要素が絡み合ってきて、どうしてもできないこととかできることっていうのが出てくると思うんですけれども、でもきっとお金がなくてもできることって多分たくさんあって、それはそれぞれが持っているものを持ち寄ることで初めてできることだと思うんですよね。一人だけだったらできませんし、一つの組織だったらできないんですけども、それぞれの強みを持ち合わせることによってできることってたくさんあると思うんです。同時に若者っていつもいい意味で言うんですけれども、まだ社会のことをあまり知らなくてですね、しがらみとかもよくわからないので、なんかこう突拍子もないこととか、普通の社会だったらそれってできないよねっていうことを言ったりすると思うんですよ。思いついたりすると思うんですよ。それって一見ちょっと社会に合わないことなのかなと思うんですけれども、でもよくよくそれを見つめてみると、実現可能性があるとか、これがこうだったらできるよねとか、結構そういう可能性がすごい溢れていると思うんですよね。なのでその若者をぜひこうパートナーシップに入れていく中では、なんかその純粋さというか突拍子もない考え方とか、新しい若者ならではの発想をなんか重要視しつつ、かつなんかそれぞれができることを持ち寄ってパートナーシップを結んでいくってことが重要かなというふうに思っています。
Thank you very much for Satoshi and Takeaki-san. It's really good that's to hear this. How the powerful voice of the youth and the unique power of the young generation to change societies. And I think to some extent, it's really the partnership is not only about the youth and younger generation, but also the whole theme of the SGD is the partnership. I think it's really the SGD has 17 goals. Each goals are not independent. Yes, it's independent in a way, in a goal, but at the same time, in order to achieve the goal, one goal, you need to solve other goals as well to change the society. So it's really the spirit or a role of the youth is in the context of SGD is pretty much critical. I think it's across the goals. It's really, really impressive, I think. And it's really encouraging to hear that many of the young generations are looking at those issues from that perspective. It's quite powerful, I think. So turn on to Wィクラマナヤケさん. I think it's hearing from the Japanese youth on this both issue of pointing out the really issue on the society of division of the society, the exclusion issue, at the same time, more their action on empowerment or partnership. And is there any suggestions for the young generation here in terms of how to accelerate and how to make more impact on the ground for those different areas?
Yes, I think as you said, one of the key things that I always speak to young people about is that the strength in our generation is that, when I go into a room, and I'm sure even in this room, if I ask, so who here are the youth activists, I'm pretty sure no one will raise their hand. But if I ask who is a gender activist, or who is a climate activist, or who is a activist working on democracy and transparency, many hands will go up. So I think that is really the thread that should connect us all. And as you very correctly said, really understanding the intersectionality and the indivisibility of the goals. It is that if we don't achieve gender equality, we are not going to achieve quality education. If we don't achieve quality education, then we will not achieve decent work. So really understanding and highlighting these core intersectionalities and the sort of cross-fertilization of the goals is so important. And for us as a generation, I believe is easier to do that, say, compared to the Millennium Development Goals or the generations before us, because we are very much interconnected. And technology, social media gives us opportunities to have this interconnection among each other. Obviously, not all youth have access to internet and have access to social media, but I have met young people in the most rural areas. I was in the Gambia a few years ago, and I met a young person who walks 30 kilometers every day to charge their mobile phone. So in some way we are trying to be connected to the rest of the world, to other young people. So I think we need to use these tools effectively to build partnerships, as you mentioned, across continents, across divides. And I was very impressed, the climate movement, the Fridays for Future movement. They were sharing with me that, for an example, climate change is an issue that everyone in today's generation as young people are extremely passionate about, but also are quite anxious about, because this is an issue of survival for us and the generations after us. But in most countries, young people are coming out, they are doing the Fridays for Future, the climate strikes, but there are also countries in which, protesting is illegal, or that it's not welcome. And some of the young people from countries where they have more liberty and more freedom to protest, they have been sharing their social media accounts with youth from the countries who cannot protest, to give them a platform, to give them a voice. So I think this type of within our own generation, this type of solidarity among young people is also important for us to support each other to advance our causes. And the second thing is, I think, to your question, like what do young people bring to the table? I think our sense of making policies and programs future-proof is extremely important when we talk about sustainability. Looking at new projects, new policies, new programs from a point of view of a future generation. How is this going to affect the lives of people who will come after us? The core idea of sustainability, what the Brundtland Commission was talking about, what are we leaving behind for the future generations to take up? So for an example, in countries like the Wales, they have appointed now a Future Generations Commissioner, and whenever there is a law or a policy passed in the legislature, it goes to the Future Generations Commissioner, who is going to check if this policy and if this law is going to have an impact on the future generations. And I was recently talking to the commissioner, and she was telling me in the Welsh government recently there was a bill that was passed to build a new highway. And this bill was passed already in the legislature, and this came to the Future Generations Commissioner's desk. And she was reviewing this proposal and then this bill, and then she saw that if you build this highway, certain ecosystems in Wales are going to be disrupted, and which means in 20 years, the young people and children will not be able to experience that ecosystem, and they will not be able to reap the benefits of that ecosystem, and they will not see certain types of trees or animals, because this infrastructure is going to disrupt the environment of that place. So she then objected against that bill, and this for me was a very motivating example, and also an inspiration for us what we can do as young people to really make the policies and programs of today future-proof, and to look at it from a forward-looking point of view. And as you said, we have the rest of our lives ahead of us, so we always look at things from the point of view of the future, because we want to make things for the future better, whereas many of the older generations might be thinking about what happened in the past, because for us it's important to make the future better instead of dwindling in the past, because that is what is ahead of us. So I think these two would be what are the key things that young people can do. I think building bridges and partnerships across divides, and looking at policies and programs from a future point of view, and really pushing our governments and our policymakers and our institutions to make those decisions from a future point of view is what as young people we can do.
Thank you very much. It's really powerful and very clear message about the youth. It's really helpful. Thank you very much. So I think we are coming to the end, and I just want to probably would like to give the opportunity to the floor to ask a question to the panelists here. I think So I think we can take one or two questions if you have anything. And if you would like to ask a question to us, can you raise a hand?
Just to break the ice.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great passion and drive to change the society in a better way. Question to the 4 Japanese champions, SDG champions. What kind of support?
マイクが入ってないみたいです。
So what kind of support would you need to scale up the initiative you are leading? Let's say from the government, public, private sector, or general public. What kind of support do you need to scale up your initiatives? Thank you.
Our wish list. Maybe we take another question and then, go to the panelist. Maybe can you pass the mic? Do you? Okay. Thank you very much. So I think that this question, 2 questions, if you can turn the mic to you and then ask 2 questions, answer 2 questions posed by the floor. Is that okay?
じゃあ日本語で失礼いたします。そうですね。今いただいた2つの、ご質問に共通すること、今私なりの意見として述べさせていただきたいと思っております。とりわけ日本においてそうですね、ユース、若者の自信のなさだったり、もしくは世界なんでしょう、国際問題がすごい壮大すぎて自分は何ができるんだ一体みたいな、そういういろんな背景で自信のなさみたいなものが結構 あったりするんじゃないかなと思っております。それに対してその何ができるかっていうのはすごい一概には言うことはできなくて、それぞれそのどういう理由で困っているのかだったりとか、そうですね、アクションを起こせないのかっていうところをできる限りその個々に聞いてみるだったりっていうのがすごい必要だったりするんじゃないかなと思っています。ですからそういったなんでできないのか、アクションを起こせないのかっていうのを聞いた上で、それに対してそれぞれの強みを施すことによって、その地震だったりその国際問題にそのアクションを起こせるんだっていう、その自分なりのその自信を持つっていうことが、そのパートナーシップ以前にそれぞれが行動を起こす上でかなり重要なんじゃないかなと思っております。その回答になっているかわからないんですが、私なりの意見としては以上です。
じゃあ日本語でまず一つ目の質問で言うと、やはり日本の場合、非常にパブリックセクターが小さいところが問題だと思っていて、日本の予算の多くは社会保障、ソーシャルセキュリティだけ使われていて、ほとんどその SDGs を達成するための予算っていうのは非常に少ないというところが問題だというふうに思っています。なので、パブリックセクターにはより多くのお金をこの SDGs 達成のために使ってほしいというふうに思いますし、プライベートセクターに対してはやはりよりSDGs を達成することで、利益が上がるエコシステムを作るということが非常に重要だというふうに考えます。そして、興味のない人にどう広げるかというと、やはりSDGs を全体として伝えるっていうのは非常に難しいと思っていて、数が多すぎるんです。そうするとやはりその人の興味に合わせて何を達成したいのかということを訴えかけていくということが重要だというふうに思っています。
ありがとうございます。サポートという面で言いますとですね、一つ資金であるとか機械であるとか、人脈であるとか、いろんな若者に足りないところはあると思うんですけれども、何よりもすごい大事なポイントとしては、やはり若者の声に耳を傾けていただくっていうことがすごい必要だと思っています。私もいろんなところにプレゼンテーションをしに行ったりする中でですね、それは若者だけじゃなくてジェンダーとかその他のいろんな障害であるとかいろんな分野に関わることかもしれないんですけれども、若者であるっていうことにフィルターをかけてお話を聞かれるっていうところが一番苦しいんですよね。若者が言ってるからちょっと未熟なものとして聞くじゃないですけれども、ちょっとそういう雰囲気を感じるとすごいショックを受けることがあって、そういう属性とか所属とかそういうことを取り払って若者が言ってることにも耳を傾けてほしいっていうのが一番のお願いであるかなというふうに思います。そして知らない人にもどうやって興味がない人にも広めていくっていう面ではですね、僕たちの世代は悟り世代っていうふうに言われていたりするんですけど、さっき言ってくださった通りに、自分とかけ離れてるものすぎるとちょっと引いてしまったりとか萎縮してしまったりとか、それって人にとって自然な反応ではあると思うんですけれども、SDGs 達成とか社会貢献っていうのをそういう思いを持った人で集まってやっていくっていうのは、それは誰一人取り残さない世界ではなく思いっきり取り残している世界だと思うんですね。取り残してもいいやって思っている人たちも取り残さずに広めていくっていうのがやはりこの SDGs の難しいところでありポイントであると思うんですね。なので僕の活動でもそうなんですけど、できるだけその人の日常に寄せて伝えていくことがすごい重要だと思っています。教育という面でいろんな学校とかに授業しに行くこともあるんですけれども、誰一人取り残さない世界っていうのは学校の例えば日常に落とし込んであげたりとか、小学生だったら休み時間のことに落とし込んだり、部活のことに落とし込んだり、そういった意味でその人たちが興味を持つ、自分に関係あることだって思えるような形で伝えていくことっていうのがありきたりな答えかもしれないんですけども、すごい重要だなというふうに思っています。
ご質問ありがとうございました。一番最初のご質問なんですけれども、障害者団体っていう立場からだとアライになってほしいLGBTQ の運動の中でやっぱり応援してくれる人たちって 自分は、いわゆる当事者ではないけれども応援するよっていう人たちがすごくたくさんいるなって、ちょっと障害者運動と比べてとてつもなくたくさんいるなっていう印象を持ってます。でじゃあどうしてその今世論とか、多くの人たちが直接的にあまり応援するできる環境になってないのかなっていうのを思った時に、やっぱり日本の社会って分離されている状況がすごくあって、例えば地域の学校に保育園から上がって地域のお友達と地域の学校行きたいって言っても、例えば教育委員会があなたのお子さん無理ですよって言って特別支援学校に行くしかないとか、で今度仕事したいって言った時にもこの一般会社じゃちょっと難しいから特別子会社にみたいな感じで、すごく分離されて、多分障害者の姿が見えにくくなってる、見えてない社会なのかなと思います。なので、そういう部分を変えていこうということで私たちもロビーイングをしたりいろいろしてるんですけれども、そういうのに関心を持ってもらって私たちのことを知ってもらうっていうのはすごく大事かなと思ってます。で、SDGs 広めていくためにはどうすればいいかっていうところで、正直障害者団体の中でも SDGs に対する関心ってすごい薄いなという感じをしてます。でやっぱりその国際協力とか、SDGs みたいな話の時にさっきの最初の私の話ともちょっと関わるんですけど、どうしても支援する人される人みたいな関係性が見えてしまうところで、なんとなく引いてしまうみたいな部分もちょっとあるのかなという感じは率直にしてます。なのでそういうところをなしにみんなで変えていけるものをいろんなお互いのことを知り合う機会とかツールとして使っていけるっていう実感が湧くとすごくいいのかなと思って、今日も私もここに来るのは躊躇してたんですけれども、来てみていろんな方のお話聞けてやっぱり良かったなと思うので、そういう実感を積み上げていくことは大事かなと思ってます。
今の3方の話を聞いてちょっと2点ほど付け足させていただきたいなと思うんですけれども、そうですね、1点目としてはそのアウェアネスというか、その国際問題に対して自分が何をできるのかっていうのを考える上でのその大前提というか、全てにおいて必要なものって何なのかなっていうのを考えたときに、まずその国際、気候変動だったり、ジェンダーの問題だったり、いろんな問題に当てはまることとして、その問題がどんなその構造であって、その中にその自分がどこにいて、その構造の中のある小さい問題に対して自分ができることは何かっていう感じで、まず大前提としてもその問題の構造を掴むというか捉える必要があるんじゃないかなと思っております。そういう意味でその教育ですとかすごい貴重な機会であると思ってお話を聞いておりました。で2点目としてはその個人と社会に関しての結構最近の個人的なちょっと懸念というかもやもやとしたところなんですけど、日本では特にそのSNS だったりもしくは現実の世界ですかで、結構その社会に対してその貢献をしているつもりでも、結構その個々人が取り残されるというか、その個人のバックグラウンドだったりが忘れられちゃうみたいな、そういうケースがあるんじゃないかなと思っています。例えば私日本に来る難民に対してちょっとジェンダーとはちょっと違うんですけど、難民に対して支援をしているんですけれども、その中でその社会集団だったり、その日本に来たその難民の人みたいな、そういう集団化っていうんですか、グループ化、される一方で、その人がどっから来て、どういうその背景のもとで日本に来たのかっていう、もしくはどういう背景で何に困っているのかっていう、個人のバックグラウンドだったり、ライフストーリーみたいなものに対しての日本人の関心みたいなものがすごい薄れてしまっているんじゃないかなと思っています。そうしたことから社会に貢献しているつもりでも、その中にいる個々人を取り残してしまうというか、その個人のバックグラウンドだったり抱えている問題を取りこぼしてしまうみたいなことが起きる可能性があるんじゃないかなと思っていて、 すごい懸念していて、それに対して何ができるのかっていうのはちょっと今考えている途中なんですけれども、結構特にその集団意識が強い日本においてそういったことがすごい問題なのかなと思っていますっていう点です。
Thank you very much. It's really well thought, really interesting, thoughtful remarks and answers. It's really give us a lot of thought, food for thought. It's really amazing. Thank you very much. So, this I would like to conclude the panel discussion here. So I really appreciate if we could give you your big hands to the panelists and special everyone. Thank you. So now we would like to move on to the closing of this panel discussion. Let me introduce Mr. Ken Hayari, Executive Director of Japan Community of UNICEF, for the concluding remarks.
もう時間も過ぎようとしてますので、できるだけ短くご挨拶だけさせていただきたいと思います。私も今日のパネルディスカッション、それから個別のプレゼンテーションお聞きして、とても感銘を受けました。と言いますのはですね、前提条件として、私どもユニセフというのは子どもの権利条約に基づいて仕事をさせてもらってるわけなんですが、この中の非常に重要な柱がですね、子どもの意見表明権。子どもの言うことにまず耳を傾けなさいという大人に対する命令ですね。で、子どもに関わりのあることについて子どもの声を抜きにして決めるなということで、まさに先ほどですね、曽田さんがおっしゃった Nothing about us without us、 これ子どもの権利条約そのものなんですね。ですからそういう意味で子どもを超えた若い皆様方にの耳を傾けるというのは、今日白髪っぽい人はあんまり多くないと思うんですけども、私のような人間にとって常に心がけておかなきゃいけない問題です。で、そういう意味で今日皆さん一致しておっしゃってたのが、やはりそのカミングアウトすること、一人一人が意見を述べることで、かつ大人がそれに対して耳を傾ける、そこはあんまりおっしゃらなかったような気がするんですけど、それは当然のことのように必要なことだと思いますし、特にその若者たち、先ほど最初にジャヤトマ特使がおっしゃいましたけれども、非常にこの75年間で国連の役割、ものすごい勢いで広がっちゃいましたよ。そういう中で一人一人がやっぱり個別誰一人残さない社会を目指す SDGs の中でものすごくいろんな課題を抱えた人たちがみんな声を発する必要があるわけで、それを聞いていかなきゃいけないという中でですね、やはり私が原点にあるのがですね、もう30年じゃない、1992年にリオデジャネイロの環境サミットってなったんですけど、ご存知の方いらっしゃいますかね。この時に当時13歳だった日系カナダ人セバン・スズキっていう女性がですね、すごい感銘を与えるスピーチを行って、その時本当に会議場がシーンとなったのがあります。今ネットでもそのスピーチがそのまま出てますので、ぜひ聞いてあげたらいいんじゃないかと思うんですけど、最近ではグレタ・トゥンベリさんが本当に環境問題についても強い意見をビシビシとられて、トランプもタジタジみたいなところがあって反応せざるを得ないみたいな感じありますけれども、そういう意味で皆様方若い方々含めて皆さん多分ジェネレーション Z より上なのかなと思うんですが、その下の方々を含めてですね、耳を傾けていかなきゃいけないし、そういう方々を含めたさっき飯山さんおっしゃった特使がおっしゃったインタージェネレーショナル、コーポレーション、それから飯山さんおっしゃったその貢献感のあるようなパートナーシップ、これですよね。これ絶対にみんなが意識してやっていくこと、具体的な何かイシューを今取り上げるつもりはないんですけど、そういう姿勢はやっぱりみんなが持つことによってノーワンレフトビハインド、これが達成されるということだと思います。やはりこの5つの P と SDGs 言われますけれども、最後の P がパートナーシップで1つしかない、SDGs の17なんですよね。これ極めて大事で、まさに肝ではないかと私は思ってます。ぜひそれをみんなで確認し合っていきたいな そして最後に一言だけ皆さんにご紹介したいのは私20年前にユニセフと出会ってですね、最初に会ったユニセフのスタッフがさっき発言された木村代表なんですけれども、国連っていいますかユニセフの本部に行った時にロビーにある標語がかかってたんですね。英語とフランス語で書いてあったんですが、今なくなっちゃったんですけど、イノベーション、残念なんですけど、お読みしますとですね、The world is not left to us by our parents, but it's lent to us by our children. この地球は、先祖から授かったものではない、子孫から借りたものである。ですから皆さんもですね、私にとったら皆さん本当に若いんですけど、皆さんもあってまいに次の若い世代に耳を傾けるべき立場になります。その時にですね、この地球をどうやって子供に返していくか、つなげていくかじゃなくて返していくか。借りてるものである以上、本来であれば利息をつけてより良いものにして返さなきゃいけない。とんでもなくそれは難しい状況になってますよね。そういうことも含めて人間社会そのものをより良くしていこうじゃないですか。できなくても少なくとも悪くはしないようにしようよ。これがこういう言葉の中にあったんじゃないかと私は勝手に思ったんですけど、本当に今日はそういう意味で久しぶりに若い方々の活発な意見をいただきとても嬉しかったです。ぜひこういう機会また設けて大人にもっともっと戻っていってほしいし、私どもは心して皆様方を含む若い方々の、こういう耳を傾けていきたいと思います。本日は本当にありがとうございました。
Thank you. Once again, let me reiterate my sincere appreciation for gathering for this event and staying until last minute. So thank you very much.